When you beat a game, you always hope for a fantastic ending that makes all your hard work feel worth it. But some games make you work extra hard to get a super special secret ending that most people who play the game will likely never see. Well, luckily, we've done all the hard work for you, and we're gonna show you 7 of the absolute best secret game endings. And it really shouldn't have to be said, but yeah, there's gonna be spoilers. Chrono Trigger was one of the first games to toy around with the idea of having multiple endings. In fact, there are a whopping 15 different ways that this time travel story can end. But one of the game's most secretive endings can only occur when you beat the game's final boss, Lavos, in a new Game Plus run with just Chrono and Marl by using a telepod near the beginning of the game. If you manage to pull this off, you'll be taken to the developer's room, where various members of Chrono Trigger's development team will make cameos as monsters and NPCs from the game. This even includes infamous Final Fantasy composer Nobuo Uematsu and the late Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama. Some games make you work extra hard for their secret endings, but with the Far Cry franchise, all you gotta do to get them is just not play the game. For example, if you simply walk away from the events of Far Cry 5, you get that game's secret ending, which is strangely the best ending in that game. And in Far Cry 6, you can just avoid fighting Gus from Breaking Bad and sail away to the beaches of Miami. But the most notable example of this comes from Far Cry 4. During the game's intro, your goal is to bring your mother's remains to her homeland. After meeting Pagan Min, he asks that you stay put at the dinner table and enjoy some delicious crab rangoon. If you do as he says, instead of joining the rebellion against him, and sit at that table for 15 minutes, he will take you to a shrine where you can place your mother's urn and fulfill your mission without killing a thing. When I say Silent Hill 2, a lot of you probably know where I'm going in a video about secret endings. But for those of you who don't know, the best Silent Hill has a wacky ending that you can witness after unlocking 3 other endings and finding an item called the dog key. You can then use that key at the Lakeview Hotel to find a control room and discover that it was a Shiba Inu who was behind everything in this horrifying world the whole time. You just can't trust those dogs. Once you get to the end of Hades and reunite the titular boss of the underworld with his estranged wife, Persephone, you might think that that's all there is to the game. However, there's an additional super secret ending that leads to an even bigger reunion of the gods. By raising your affinity with each of the gods at Olympus and unlocking the Queen's Plan prophecy, you can invite them all to one big family reunion in the underworld, where Hades will finally settle his beef with all of the other gods. There isn't much in the way of happy endings in Cyberpunk 2077, but there is one ending that is hard to get and at least doesn't result in anyone you like getting themselves killed. If you boost your relationship with Johnny Silverhands high enough and choose the right dialogue options, you can attempt the Don't Fear the Reaper ending, where instead of gathering help to storm Arasaka Tower, you can go in alone with only Keanu Reeves' digital representation that's living inside your head around to help you. This is an extremely difficult way to try to beat the game, but at least if you can pull it off, none of your friends will be brutally murdered. In the colorful rhythm action game Hi-Fi Rush, you can take on secret challenge rooms, with there being about 16 in total. And if you finish them all, you get the secret ending, where the main baddie, Kale, is revealed to have created an AI version of himself to help continue his evil plans. That is, until a cleaning bot runs over a plug that was keeping this AI powered on. So Chai simply attaches a sticky note telling everyone not to touch this plug, and that's where the game leaves us. This implies that Kale could return in a future sequel. A future sequel that, unfortunately, doesn't seem very likely to happen in the near future. And finally, Let's end on a weird one. Nier Automata is another game with a buttload of endings, but there's one in particular that isn't super difficult to get, although it's definitely not something you would have expected in an ending. The ending I'm speaking of is Ending K, which is perhaps the dumbest ending in this game, or maybe even any game. It's stated in Nier Automata that if an android eats a mackerel, you know, this fish, then they'll die. So if you have 2B eat a mackerel from her inventory, her bodily fluids congeal, paralysis sets in, and as she loses consciousness, she acknowledges that this was actually a very tasty fish and she can understand why humans like to eat it. And with that she dies and the credits comically roll by. I don't know why it's specifically a mackerel that does this. It's a pretty funny weakness for a super powerful android. What's your favorite secret ending to a video game? Let us know in the comments below. And for all your gaming needs, be sure to check out thegamer.com. I'm Jamie Latour, and we'll see you next time.